Welcome back, True Seeker. Apologies for the late start. Shout out to all the people in the chat. Thank you for the comment, Neo the Hacker. He says they love scaring people with these solar phenomenons. Then they use it as an excuse to further an agenda. What I want to talk about in this stream, amongst many things, is just why today in the media they're talking about how there's this solar storm that could affect GPS and certain communication systems, but they said it shouldn't have an impact on cell phones. They said, though, it could take down the power grid. And the media's put out this idea of solar storms and the power grid going down for a long time now. When it first really got on my radar was 2013. If you guys go back to 2013 and listen to Janet Napolitano, former governor down in Arizona as well, but she was the head of the Department of Homeland Security. And when she stepped down in 2013, she gave out a warning that she had given out years earlier. I want to say she first gave it in either 2008 or 2009, but she gave it again when she left the Department of Homeland Security. She said the next 9/11 is not if, but when, and it's the power grid from some kind of cyber attack or act of war or even, a solar storm. The media has echoed on this. In 2013, the year she stepped down, Channel 4 both made similar films that were supposed to be about a realistic scenario, what could happen in the world after a couple days, a few days, 4 days had gone by, if people had figured out the world was a lot different, the power was out, it wasn't coming back on, something crazy was happening, how people might react to one another in our society, all the people in the cities where they know that the store is going to be out and they don't have any other food in the fridge right now. 2013, it was just a really creepy year. And it was the year I found this knowledge because I was looking for additional information to try and wake people up to what I saw that they're driving us towards. And again, the media does make things a lot scarier than they really are always. So keep that in mind. Don't let these stories scare you. But understand, I mean, they've been telling us for a long time they have this planned power outage event. Now, is it going to be like the power grid's down for a day nationwide, 48 hours? I mean, if it was only that long, things probably wouldn't get too chaotic. Well, then again, you just never know. If you watch the Channel 4 and the National Geographic one, they make it seem pretty hairy. But then it stays off in those ones. And again, if you haven't seen them, it gets to how there's this rapid destruction in the world after a number of days when people figure out that, the world has changed and something's off. But yeah, that was the year I was like, I put up the blog and I put up the post about, the Georgia Guidestones and how people should be aware what's written on stone and how there is a plan to depopulate. And you see how they could bring about these things with contrived scenarios like 9/11, but rather than just impacting New York City, it's impacting all the major cities of America, creating a real shockwave everywhere. And yeah, again, just recognizing what 9/11 was when it happened. Actually, hold on. We'll come back to all this. I want to make the point about why this is in the news today. Here, I got a lot of things to say about this, but I just want to make a point. Today is the 131st day of the leap year, 131, right? And remember what we were talking about on January 31st of this year, 131. We were talking about it because the head of the FBI, Mr. Wray, he came out and talked about how, a cyber attack on the grid is imminent from China. Okay? So on 131, Christopher Wray made those remarks. And since then, he's made more remarks about this coming cyber attack and it potentially taking the grid down, just like what Janet Napolitano talked about. And let's not forget, Janet Napolitano was the former governor of Arizona. And when Public Enemy put out their album, What You Gonna Do When the Grid Goes Down, they the cover artwork for the album is the state of Arizona. And Public Enemy has a song from 91, By the Time I Get to Arizona, which has to do with them perceiving Arizona as a racist state because it was the last to recognize Martin Luther King Jr. Day. But Yeah. The 131 thing. Why does it matter January 31st and the 131st day of the year? Well, what makes this seem like it's not a coincidence is, again, when you learn gematria, I just want you to see something. If you're new here, gematria, simple practice of coding numbers into words. It is based on 4 key ciphers, and it is the alphabetic order. A is 1 up to Z is 26. So A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4, E is 5. You turn each letter to a number, and then you just add up the word like it's a mathematical equation. B plus L plus A plus C plus K plus O plus U plus T. The letters of blackout. You add them together, they add up to 85 when you run the alphabetic order forwards. Another cipher is just running the alphabetic order in reverse. Z is 1, back to A is 26. When you run the alphabetic order in reverse, blackout is 131. Common terminology for a power outage, a blackout. And again, you got Christopher Wray saying it's imminent from China on January 31st. Now, just funny enough, on the 131st day of the year, they want to switch it up. They want to put out the story that, oh, it could be a solar flare. And again, you guys, if you follow news, which no one does, and I don't blame people for not following news. Well, it's funny. They don't really watch it, but then when the news starts telling them to do something and they see all the rest of the herd doing it, then they just do it too because the news is saying so. Like put a muzzle on and get a shot and all this. Be scared of the 99.9% survivable. You know what? But anyway, there's 4 base ciphers. So we covered how blackout's 85 forwards with the alphabetic order, 131 in reverse, and then the other 2 orders are using the alphabetic order with numerology applied. So blackout with numerology applied is 22. And if you say, how does that work? B, the first letter in blackout. B is the second letter. L is the 12th. You can add plus 12. That's what you do in the first cipher, the green one on the left. In the one where blackout equals 22, L becomes 3, and that's because L is the 12th letter, and the numerology of 12 is 1 plus 2 is 3. So just knowing the alphabetic order and then simple addition. A is the first letter, C is the third, K, the 11th letter, is 1 plus 1 is 2. So K is worth 2 instead of 11. O, the 15th letter, is worth 1 plus 5 is 6. U, the 21st letter, is worth 2 plus 1 is 3. T, the 20th letter, is worth 2 plus 0 is 2. So T's worth 2 in the blue cipher, 20 in the green cipher. That's why you get a smaller number value. But the 22 is interesting because notice when everyone saw the Obama movie about the grid going down, it's when it went on Netflix pretty much. Nobody really went and saw it in the theater. Everyone heard about it when it went on Netflix December 8th. From the day that it went on Netflix to this day of, the solar flares could mess with the grid tonight. It's exactly 22 weeks later, right? And if they're saying this could happen tonight in the US, that already means in other parts of the world, it's already the next day. It's already May 11th, right? And keep in mind, it's a leap year. Typically, May 11th is the 131st day of the year. So always May 11th, the 131st day of the year in a non-leap year, is 85 days before Obama's birthday, right? And this blackout's 85 and 131. And remember, just weeks back when we had the little cell phone outages in the morning time, it was the big story for the day. A lot of the news media was joking that it was like the Obama film. And if you've seen that Obama film, there's 76s all over it, 76ers mugs and beyond. And of course, in Gematria, Barack Obama equals 76, like slave, like Negro, like blues, like Rasta, like Acts 76, about 400 years of slavery. And the first slave ship in America was the White Lion, which is the name of the boat in Obama's movie. The first sign something's wrong in the world. The power goes out on the ship, causing it to crash on shore, kind of like how the power went out on the ship and then hit the Key Bridge on Pelosi's birthday, taking out the Francis Scott Key Bridge when her father was born on Francis Scott Key's birthday. Anyway, if you guys missed the whole Key Bridge thing, Key Bridge equals 86, came down on the 86th day of the year, and it came down exactly 86 weeks after Nancy Pelosi shook hands with the leader of Singapore on Francis Scott Key's birthday in Singapore when the Dolly, the boat that took out the bridge in Baltimore, was from Singapore. Anyway, you learn this little number code. You see the rituals day in and day out. But isn't this interesting that they give us this scare today? And see, this is how they get conflicting information out there. See, let's just say that we're on the verge of this thing. And again, you guys, don't live in fear, and it's probably not going to happen. But like I said, I've been saying for a while now, you need to make sure that you just keep a supply on hand in case the day comes, so that you have at least something for a week for you and your family. Water, non-perishable food, things you would need in an emergency. A propane stove could be helpful. Propane tanks, way to clean water, boil water could be very helpful things, life-saving things, things that keep you from getting sick. First aid kit, batteries, flashlight, some way to protect yourself if things get crazy. It doesn't need to be a gun. I mean, a gun's a good way to do it, but it could be bear spray. You could protect yourself real well if you had some bear spray. You'll be making a lot of people blind coming at you. You don't have to have good aim or anything, and there's a lot in the can. So, but yeah, I mean, just in case that we are here. It's been 11 years since Janet Napolitano gave her speech in 2013. You know, she was real specific about this next 9/11's not if but when, and it's the grid going down. And it's just, already we're early in the year. FBI heads already come out twice this year and warned about the grid going down. He said from a cyber attack. Uh, Now it could be the solar flare. But you just see how by putting out all this stuff at the same time, how they overload people with information. Can you imagine if the grid went down, people would be out arguing with each other? I think it was the solar flare. I think it was the cyber attack. No, I saw Sanjay Gupta. He told me to get the latest booster, and he did. He did also mention the solar flare, actually. I like Sanjay Gupta. You know what I mean? You don't want to be one of these people. And when these days come, like, it won't be pleasant that it happened. But while these people are out, like, having these exact kind of conversations, you'll be like, okay, I think I know what time it is. And my just in case plan, if we're in this city, we're going to take. Remember, just like what are they doing in the Obama film, right? The Obama film might have been dropping more clues for people paying attention. What saved the family, the Julia Roberts family in the film? They're kind of like aloof, or the husband was. But, they just needed to get a little vacation. They just happened to not be in the city that night. You know what I mean? So, again, just things start to get weird and you're in a city. It might be, just time to take up the family, and you've been meaning to do something, a 2-hour drive away, go see some park, take your kids somewhere, your family somewhere you've been putting it off. Maybe it's just like, you know what, let's go do that on this weekend and also have our backup plan in case things get crazy. But then you already got a head start. You're out of the city. Because, like, it was in the movie. When things got crazy, you just couldn't get out of the city anymore. City you were barricaded in. So, but yeah, again, also don't live in fear, guys, because it's probably not going to be like that. But they could turn off the power in your neck of the woods for a period of time, and you'll be pissed if you don't. Imagine it gets hot and you don't have, like, water on hand. That'd be real annoying. Be real annoying to be hot and thirsty. You got water on hand, a lot more manageable. Then you just got to make sure you're not chugging too much water in case the power's out for, longer than anyone would hope it would be. But yeah, this stuff is annoying to just witness how they do this and just roll it out by the numbers day after day. But again, we'll continue to hope for the best, and that this all means it's just a little joke, and that's all it is. Just another joke in the headlines, another pushing, because that's what they love to do. They always just push this low vibration, fear, threat. You know what it is. I don't know how else to describe it right now. So they're saying, though, today should not impact cell phones, but it could impact the power grid, and it could impact GPS systems. So if you're out traveling, your GPS might malfunction, they're saying today. And I suppose since everybody's using that on their phone, we'll see if that becomes. Well, we'll see where they go with this story from here. But yeah, again, the thing, just having your head on a swivel. An ounce of preparation is worth a pound of care. Why are they doing so many of these stories? And remember what just happened yesterday, too. If you missed yesterday's story with the cyber attack, one of the nation's largest hospital chains, which is a Catholic hospital chain, it was a national news story yesterday, May 9th, that day and the day prior, they'd been suffering cyber attacks. And it's interesting because the news was released on May 9th. And again, that's the Feast of Ascension date in the Catholic Church. And again, Ascension Healthcare hacked in this time of the Feast of Ascension. In light of what we're always talking about with the Jesuits, again, Klaus Schwab at the World Economic Forum, the Jesuit who's been simulating everything, the pandemic, cyber attack, power grid down scenarios, cyber polygon, all this stuff they keep doing. If you go back and see the work we've done in past years on cyber polygon, it almost always comes back to the number 78 in a big way. Jesuit has that Gematria 78. Feast of the Ascension, what they call it in the Catholic Church, is also 78. So I'm thinking about that too. You know, we've had plenty of cyber attack stories, and it didn't escalate into anything way bigger all at once for a lot of people. But they've been building all these little stories in the background that all these things can happen. The perfect storm, Donald Trump in court with Stormy Daniels, a really stormy week in the heartland. You know what I mean? Just so, yeah. But if you missed this, the Ascension thing, shout out to again CB7376 in the chat who had that catch. I appreciate that. And as we pointed out, it was in the headlines 144 days after the Pope's birthday. As we know, Ascension equals 144, just like Jesuit order. Pope Francis equals 59. The date can be written 5-9. The Jesuits were created to counter the 95 Theses. The date can be written 9-5. The last Pope died at age 95. He was a German like Martin Luther who penned the 95 Theses, which brought about the Jesuits to stop the Counter-Reformation. So yeah, if you missed that, just that was also in the news yesterday. This thing about Ascension Health and the cyber attack. And let me see, did I link? If you forgot the Chris Ray post from January 31st, here, just to pull that back up. This was earlier this year. We talked about it then. FBI director warns that Chinese hackers are preparing to wreak havoc on U.S. critical infrastructure. And of course, you read the story, power grid and beyond. But yeah, just making the same point just about blackout and 131. So. Okay. Also, yesterday, we talked about how on May 9th, if you missed yesterday's video on May 9th, year after year, I'm here talking about the exact same topic on May 9th. The ritualistic shaming of black celebrities, the ritualistic death of black celebrities, 5-9, like 59, like O.J. Simpson just died 59 days after the Super Bowl in the year before Super Bowl 59. And we're going to talk more about that. We're going to talk more about the year of Super Bowl 59 at the end of this stream. But yesterday I covered all these stories, black athletes getting sentenced to prison, the Supreme Court targeting the Florida rapper Flo Rida, so that now he's open to a major lawsuit and will probably have to pay a ton of money to a man who part of his song sampled from 84. But as we talked about, just Flo Rida, his name in Gematria, his birth name equals 59, like slave, like Negro, like blues, like Rasta, like how Ephesians 6 in the Bible, the verses 5-9 are about slavery. And again, OJ, dead 59 days after the Super Bowl, announced dead as the Masters is teeing off, when those verses 5-9 are about slaves, obey your masters. And of course, you run the alphabetic order in reverse, slave and master both have that 76 connection, like OJ died at 76. Again, Barack Obama, 76. His Secret Service name, Renegade, 59. The words slave, Negro, blues, Rasta, they all equal 59 and 76. Black History Month ends on the 59th day of the year. The federal government recognized Black History Month for the first time in 76. Anyway, we talked about how big those numbers were yesterday and all the rituals, and I missed this. This was a primetime story yesterday that I missed when I did that stream. I saw it later that night. But an Air Forceman, an airman, kind of remind you of the Tuskegee Airmen, just subliminally. But on this 5-9 date, you get a story about a black military man, an airman, getting gunned down by the police. And who's the lawyer involved with this in the nightly news story? Ben Crump, who's connected to all these highly ritualistic killings that are used for divisive propaganda. And some people would say that they're not killings at all. They're just being contrived for the story to divide people. It's all the same at the end of the day. It's the use of propaganda to steer populaces for an agenda. That's what we're exposing. It is more evil if they're actually killing people. And at the end of the day, from where I stand and where I do my research, I don't have enough research to conclude either way that either of those things are definitively happening. That's why it kills me having people just like get divided over little things like that. They're like, oh, I don't like him because he never calls out that it's all a hoax. It's like I've suggested many times, a lot of stuff seemingly is, but you can only claim what you know. And then when these people who expect others to make those claims, you ask them what their proof is, they don't have any. But again, I come with the same proof and the same logic and the same lessons year after year. And I didn't see this story yesterday, so I just want to look at this story and see how this expands on what we said yesterday. And keep in mind, this is the killing of a black man in Florida by a government official. And then the same day, the famous Florida rapper is getting opened up by the government to having to pay all this money from something from 1984, an election year when Reagan won his second term. The guy who also ran on Mega. Donald Trump, Florida. These jokes are bigger than you know, but in case you missed the Flow Write-Up post yesterday, again, just the GematriaEffectNews, his birth name is Tremar Dillard, 5'9", like May 9th, like 5'9". Slave, renegade, that's Obama's Secret Service name. Negro, Rasta, Blues, all 59. Run it the other way. They're all 76 except for renegade, but then Barack Obama's 76 the other way. Again, with regards to them referring to him as an airman, you think of the Tuskegee Airmen, which then connects you to the Tuskegee experiment. But Tuskegee's got that gematria 42, like slavery, like February, like Martin, like Malcolm X, like Muhammad Ali, like LeBron James, like Jackie, like Jesuit, like Georgetown. Again, this does all go back to the Jesuits, but and the Bible. New Testament's 42, 42 generations to Jesus. The word math equals 42. The New Testament begins with Matthew. This theme of the war right now, too, that's a big war number, 42. We first deployed troops to World War II in the start of 42 after Pearl Harbor got bombed at the end of 41. But look at this. Ben Crump, right? Ben Crump, who's immediately part of this story. He has the same birthday as Gavin Newsom. He's 54 years old right now. Been talking a lot about 54, especially with Diddy. Notice the story of the man's death, just to read from the article. It says, a Florida sheriff's office released body camera video Thursday showing a sheriff's deputy shoot and kill a U.S. airman at his apartment last week while the deputy was responding to a disturbance call. The video shows a deputy from the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office in the Florida Panhandle knock on the door of Senior Airman Roger Fortson. Okay, so that's the title. Senior Airman Roger Fortson. I just want you to see that title has Gematria 144 in the same cipher as the United States of America. It's a reminder the Jesuits came out of suppression 144 days after James Madison's birthday, who was the sitting president at the time. But this 144, again, it's huge with the Jesuits and their rituals. So this was in the news 144 days after the Pope's birthday. Again, Pope Francis is 59 as well. Again, one more time, Benedict stepped down on the 59th day of the year for him. In 1959, Pope Francis celebrated his first year with the Jesuits. Pope Francis equals 58 and 59. Again, he became a Jesuit in 58. His first anniversary of the Jesuits would have fell in 59. Eventually, he becomes the Pope in a big 59 ritual. It also makes it just extra fitting because it has the racial, biblical connection. And remember, we understand the Bible as we know it because of the Catholic Church. Within about 100 years of each other, you had numbered Bibles, the Gregorian calendar, English standardized with the 26-letter alphabet. You see how they synced up this system. There's a lot more to the name of the man, Roger Fortson, who was killed. But keep in mind, he was killed at Fort Walton Beach. Fortson killed in Fort Walton Beach. Forts are military man. There's a lot of interesting things in his name, Gematria. But I wanted to get to the part right here. So this news broke on May 9th, right? They made this the news May 9th, but the story was he was killed May 3rd of this year. And in a leap year, that's the 124th day of the year, right? The 124th day of the year. And Ben Crump is front and center in this story. Notice how in Gematria, Ben Crump equates to 124, just like Florida. I mean, it's just like, that's why you look at this and you're like, are these stories even real? I mean, if they are, you see why the man's targeted. Mr. Fortson in Fort Walton Beach County. But yeah, on 5/9, and just year after year, stories of death. Adrian Payne the other year, Little Richard, so many more. I mean, just a few years ago, it was 2020. We were just talking about this. It was buzzing all 5/9 that the current CEO of Motown had dropped dead at age 59. And again, Motown was founded in 1959. And again, Black History Month ends on the 59th day. And just this kind of ritual year after year on 5/9, along with everything else that we documented yesterday. Just like my first book, Letters and Numbers, very long book. There's a long chapter in there on the ritual shaming and killing of Black celebrities and the use of this number 59 along with 42. And we document that in several different ways yesterday. Flow Rider, they had to do it on his 237th day of his age. They also had to have the justice write the decision whose title is 59, Justice Elena Kagan. But yeah, on the 237th day of Flow Rider's age, that's the prime factorization of 42, 237. Seen it before. So 2 Florida stories. And maybe there's something more to look into with Florida. In light of military, right? I mean, Florida's like a very strategic military position. All this water, uh, you know, all these rumors of war right now. Yeah, there's always a lot of symbolism and ritualism, and sometimes within the stories, clues foreshadowing the next move on their chessboard, if you will. Okay, also in the headlines, remember the pop star Avicii? Um, he died at a young age, 28. They said it was a suicide, and now his ex-girlfriend is dead at 34, and they made it seem like she survived cancer, but then a year later, dead from complications due to it. Anyhow, dead at 34, right? And Avicii supposedly had a suicide. Remember, in Gematria, murder equates to 34, like suicide, like poison. It's a fateful number. And this was in the news today. This is today's news, but that's not when she died, but it's in the news today, May 10th. And from Avicii's death on April 20th, 2018, to this news of her dying is exactly 316 weeks later. If you say 316 to a lot of people, they'll recognize it. Some of them might just recognize it through the WWE. They're like, "Oh yeah, that's that Bible verse, John 3:16, the one about giving his own one and only son." Um, Jesus has that Gematria 34. He was somebody's son, dead at a very young age. Both stories on a Friday, which is interesting. There's a lot more that can be said about the 72 months later, but that did stand out the way the stories broke 316 weeks apart. And keep in mind, this young woman's Jewish. Jesus was from Judea. Jewish is also 34. And then you read the story and look at when she actually died. They broke the news now, but she died on April 3rd. That day can be written 3/4. Remember, they've traced Jesus' crucifixion to that date. If you look it up, here. Jesus' crucifixion, April 3rd. And there's several reasons this date is interesting. But this publication's from the University of Chicago. It's in Midwest. You'll see it all over the place. NBC News. Again, this was in 2012. It's funny, NBC covered this on typically the 144th day of the year, but it was a leap year that year, so it was the 145th day, like Catholic equals 145. Like there's 145 more chapters in the Catholic Old Testament than Protestant, which goes with like Israel was established on 14/5. But anyway, April 3rd, 33 AD is when they say this Jesus crucifixion happened. Remember, that date can be written 3/4. Jesus is 34, like Jewish, like cross. He's the Jewish Messiah. And again, for real to understand the difference between Judaism and Christianity, Christianity accepts the story that Jesus is the Jewish Messiah they're waiting for. Jews say, oh no, he was a fraud, he wasn't the real Messiah. We're still waiting for Messiah. He'll come at the time of the third temple. So this is the distinction between Judaism and Christianity. And then there's some other philosophical differences and days of worship difference. Well, really, it was all supposed to be on the same day, the Sabbath day. It's the Christians that got thrown onto Sunday because of the Catholic Church, the sun worshipers. And it's amazing people can't see the most obvious things. But this April 3rd date, again, that date can be written 3-4. It can also be written 4-3. And Jesus Christ equals 43. And it's the 93rd day of the year. Crucifix equals 93. God's Son equals 93. Nazareth, 93. The sun in the sky is 93 million miles away on average. The Protestant Bibles, the 930th book is where the New Testament begins. The first 929 chapters, or not book, but it's the 930th chapter. The first 929 chapters of the Bible are the Old Testament. The 930th is the New Testament. And in Sumerian gematria, Christianity equals 930. That's just multiplying the alphabetic order times 6. But notice also from his death to her actual date of death was 71 months and days later. Remember, well, Catholic, of course, equals 71. We know what happened in Israel and in Jesuit-controlled Israel. The war began 71 days from the Pope's birthday on Putin's 71st birthday. Big number of the Catholics is 71, but Emily Goldberg has that 71 connection, and that's the woman who's dead at 34 after losing her boyfriend at a young age, and now, she also dies at a young age. Just looking back at things like this was released in the media on 12/29. Avicii's final words before suicide revealed in new book. 12/29. 1229 is the 201st prime. Again, 201, 105, special numbers. Order of Illuminati equals 201 and 105. The first Jesuit Pope, the first to live in Suite 201 at the Vatican, Jorge Mario Bergoglio, 201 and 105. And on and on and on. But all the stuff they've done with Albert Pike, that's Albert Pike's birthday too, 12/29. It's the day Netanyahu came back on Albert Pike's birthday anniversary when Albert Pike wrote the letter about 3 world wars, and the third is about a big war with political Zionism. So but yeah, we've seen it so many times. I'm trying to remember, is his name Robert Luna? Was he the sheriff that took over in LA, Robert Luna, right before the Lunar New Year festival shooting? I remember he had a whole bunch of suicides like all at once in his department. And I remember the video I did on that just seemed to have like a lot of felt like a lot of government officials were responding and trying to put a different spin on it. Like, oh no, just police forcing is a very, very tough profession. And there are just a lot of suicides. But we were like, hold on. There's a lot of things to this, but there's a 34 piece, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he was the 34th sheriff, or he is. He's the 34th sheriff of Los Angeles County. And there's been so many examples of 34 and suicide in the news, but now the latest with Avicii's girlfriend dead at 34 when he committed suicide. What was it about December 5th? So the deaths in Luna's office happened exactly 48 weeks after Robert Luna was sworn in, and Luna equals 48, and 48 laws of power, and Freemasons 48, and the Fraternal Order of Police is Masonic, and Illuminati's 48 as well, and on and on and on. But it's funny, a lot of police departments use like Israeli operatives to train their police forces, and Israel was established in 48. I want to look more into that angle, but four, that number of death. LA has the gematria 4. 4 former and current LA sheriff's employees died by suicide in less than 24 hours. Concluding on November 6th, 48 weeks after being sworn in for Luna. Oh, and then the date numerology was 60 the day that happened. So that's like, see that if you have a brain, if somebody comes, I don't care if a room of government agents come and say, "Oh, that's bullshit. Policing is a hard job and there's a lot of suicide." Okay, that could be true, but how often is there a national headline that 4 died in one office within this many hours when this guy's already been connected to something super highly ritualistic with him being sworn in right before the Lunar New Year festival shooting. If you guys recall, and that was the theme for the early part of the year, the 80-year-old Chinese shooters. Like, come on, man. The 80-year-old Chinese mass shooter, I'm sure. I mean, give me a break. As believable as the cave dweller on 9/11. But the same audience still hasn't figured anything out, so they still fall for the same old bullshit. But anyway, yeah, I just remember when I made the video, just how many people left a comment like that. Oh, no. There's nothing conspiracy. You need to not write us. You need to leave this alone. This is a touchy subject. It's like, no, I don't think so. I think this needs to be looked into. I think we need a real investigation. But how do you investigate a totally? I mean, you can never rely on our government to do we just have such a criminal government. Like they're ever going to do an honest investigation of themselves. Man, there was some story back, if I'm not mistaken, zombie equals 34. In years back, there was a story like a 34-year-old zombie actor from Walking Dead committed suicide. It's like, come on, man. I'm sure. Okay. Dave Portnoy, the Massachusetts sports guy. You know, Massachusetts gets so much sports attention. That state of Massachusetts, those Celtics, those Patriots, those Boston Reds. I mean, there's a reason for it. Massachusetts, it's one of 3 states in the most pure cipher. There's only 3 states in the most pure cipher, the alphabetic order of numerology, that have the 33 gematria. The first state, Delaware, the 50th and final state, Hawaii, and then the 6th state, Massachusetts, where 33 and 6 are kind of where the number gets its magic from. Again, man's made on the 6th day in the Bible in Genesis. Genesis has that gematria 33. People equals 33. Person 33. Society 33. The Masons are into 33 because of the human vertebrae that has 33 bones. You do spiritual ascension, kundalini, up to 33 bones of the human vertebrae. Again, Masonry equals 33, like secrecy, like order. So many 33 in mega sports rituals, but you'll just notice like so many of the most influential people in the world of sports that are writers also hail from Massachusetts. So Dave Portnoy is one of these guys that gets his sports thing. I can't even remember what it's called right now. Somebody told me the name of his sports thing. I recognize his name, and I know he has some sports. It's not ESPN level, but it's just like another sports thing that's out there. Anyway, you'll see his name in he's notoriously conservative. Fox News will use him in their stories. But you just look at these people too. The people that had, again, the sheep don't get it. But if you're actually listening when you're watching the sports time, sometimes you'll start hearing these commentators start jibber jabber about the political issues in the world. It's a blowout game. They might get into some other current events momentarily, and a few words are said that goes with the rest of the media's programming and theme. But yeah, these people on the world stage that get this recognition, again, to be on the stage, you got to be out there fulfilling your script. And again, I mean, these comments, again, there's the way the media has made 2 groups of people. You either support Israel and don't question it at all or what's going on over there, or you're anti-Israel. And then you start getting linked in with Zionist and all this other stuff. It's just so annoying. It's always been this way. If you care about people being killed in Gaza, again, the headlines just told you about 40,000 dead so far. A lot of them are women and children. If you care about that, you're now anti-Israel. This is the game the media's made it. This is thank God we have a First Amendment so that we can have a free and open press. Ha ha. And again, remember, the founders told you that if the nation becomes about money and a central bank, everything's ruined. Everything's out the window. So, I mean, everything's been out the window for a long time. We get the latest central bank in 1913. Is that what year it was? I think it was 1913. December of 1913. Isn't that when it was? Man, that's 111 years ago now. But yeah, just how everywhere they have to just echo these BS opinions. Dave Portnoy says people who are anti-Israel shouldn't be allowed to have jobs. Again, it's like, are these people serious? I mean, like, these people, it's just so anti-American. And then you tune into Fox News where they're presenting these kind of opinions with all their flag waving graphics. It's like, this channel's not about America. It's about a political party. It's super about Israel more than anything. It's like super racist. Fox News is just so racist. I mean, you can't deny it. It's just like they always like every hour they got to average like one at least 30-second clip of a store camera of a black person doing something illegal in the nation. They just got to get it in there, part of their regularly scheduled programming. Here's our store camera of a black person stealing something today. We just had to sneak it in there real quick. It's like, oh, thanks, Fox News. God. But no, I mean, it's just, it's annoying that the herd continues to watch the news media and just doesn't see the game. They think that this is the legitimate thing to listen to. This is the thing that's the fair. It's just, yeah, Fox News calling itself fair and unbalanced. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're watching Fox, CNN, any of them. They're all propaganda. Yeah, they might have a different political angle, but they're all just spewing the propaganda. All right. Now, again, the fun thing about this knowledge, you can see how it applies to sports and, again, Bitcoin, crypto, markets, news, rigged elections. This knowledge is used in so many things. I mean, look how perfect it was what we said about Bitcoin earlier this year. We said, watch, by the 72nd day of the year, it should be at about 72,000. Bitcoin and money both equal 72, like Jesuit order. We've been showing the Jesuit rituals with Bitcoin forever. But I told people, I said after it hits that, probably a good time if you've made a lot of money to cash out at least a good chunk and have a nice profit, because there's a good chance it's going to go back down. And if you go back and look at my video, which was dead on, I mean, a lot of the comments were like, bruh, Bitcoin's going up to 150,000, bruh. Nope. But had you listened to me, you would have cashed out and then you could have bought back in when it dipped back down. People be like, bro, I'm just right now, still going to make it to 150. Okay, might eventually be true, but do you realize that had you cashed out at 72 and bought back in lower, you would have instantly made more wealth? So when you just come back with, bruh, I'm just going to keep right to 150, it's like, bruh, that's not a good sound strategy. Taking my advice, you would have been ahead. So you got to admit when you're wrong. And again, with this knowledge, with sports futures, we've done a great job. I don't know anyone in the history of the world who's even come close to accomplishing what I have in the last decade with sports futures. Not even close. And last year, we added to the resume again in baseball, hitting 50-1 with the Rangers future, which we put in day one. But again, what I'm about to show you, this doesn't mean that this is going to be the World Series, but it's a storyline to investigate more, because there's a narrative here that no doubt is going to show itself in the football season ahead. So many years we've used baseball in the rituals in baseball and other sports. They're all rigged together to see the future outcome of a sports league. And here's why this one's so interesting. The Royals and the Angels on May 9th. There's a lot of things that are interesting about this game, but it was on 5-9. The upcoming Super Bowl is 59. And Super Bowl 59 will conclude the 105th NFL season. And you might recall a handful of years back when Jared Goff was the Rams quarterback, he beat Mahomes in a duel in primetime with a score of 54-51, 105 points. So notice, when I write out Los Angeles Angels, the baseball team that played yesterday on 5-9 like 59, it has this Gematria 59 forwards. 85 in reverse is interesting too, because National Football League's 85. But the Los Angeles Angels 59, and in that same cipher, Kansas City Royals is also 59. And remember, Mahomes is a part owner of the Kansas City Royals. And remember, Mahomes' first season as a starter, the Kansas City Royals went 58-104. And then last year, Mahomes won the 104th NFL season in Super Bowl 58. 2018 was the first year Mahomes started. If you go back and look, you'll see the Royals were 58-104 that year. 58 wins, 104 losses. So last year, the 104th NFL season, he wins Super Bowl 58. You can see Kansas City Royals is 103, so is State Farm. And of course, he won the Super Bowl in State Farm Arena, 57 as well. But the point is, a lot of rituals over the years between sports leagues. The year that Brady went down to Tampa and won the Super Bowl his first year there, really early in the baseball season, they did a huge, undeniable ritual with Tampa and Brady's decision and the Super Bowl date. It was just undeniable. And sure enough, Brady, defied the odds and won the Super Bowl at age 43. People don't realize that football equals 43 like Florida. Remember back when it all started for him after 9/11 and the Patriot Act and the Patriots taking over, the 43rd president was in office and it came down to Florida, where his brother was the 43rd governor and their daddy was the 43rd vice president. And the man football is credited to went to Yale and was in Skull and Bones like the Bushes, and Yale equals 43. And remember the Goatville killing neighborhoods in Yale right before Brady won the Goat Bowl at age 43, and then what they did to DMX on April 3rd, 4-3, when he's on the LL Cool J song 4-3-2-1. The date the date that DMX was pretty much pronounced dead was 4-3-21. And then they saved him. They reported 6 days later he died on April 9th, which was Lil Nas X's birthday. He was Mr. Satan, and DMX said he sold his soul to Satan. But LL Cool J has channel 43 on Sirius XM. LL Cool J has the song 4-3-2-1, where he ends the song saying he's the GOAT, the greatest of all time. GOAT equals 43. Greatest of all time equals 188, like Brady won the Super Bowl 188 days after his 43rd birthday. But again, DMX is on that song 4-3-2-1, and in the news he's pretty much dead 4-3-2-1. They said DMX was like a vegetable. The word vegetable equals 79, like LL Cool J, and that news broke 79 days after LL Cool J's birthday. I'm just going to stop. It goes on and on and on, but the point is, all of these mega rituals, the sports world's connected, the entertainment world's connected. And if you just follow the numbers, you can see just how perfect it is. So we just said that Mahomes won Super Bowl 58 to conclude the 104th NFL season. Michael Waka, the pitcher of this game, he stayed on 58 career losses, and the Royals won 10-4, right? So let me just pull back up the four ciphers. I just want to write out Angels, and just so you can see the 104 and the 58, okay? 104-58. Royals came into the series on 22 wins, 22 men on the football field. They win the first game of the series. And what's crazy is, you might recall, so this is Michael Waka's record after winning last night. He came into this game with 89 wins and 58 losses. Los Angeles, California equals 89. 89 is the 24th prime. Mahomes just got his 89th career win, winning Super Bowl 58. He got the 24th win for the Chiefs in the playoffs all time. Missouri's the 24th state. Waka improves to 2-4, coming in with 89 wins and 58 losses. And this game was 89 days after the Super Bowl was played as well. 89 days after the Super Bowl was played. So, just familiar patterns. May 9th is 131 days before Mahomes' birthday. What does 131 relate to in NFL history? It relates to the word Super Bowl, right? Super Bowl is 131. So many 131 Super Bowl rituals over the years. This ritual on 5/9 before the year of Super Bowl 59 is 131 days for Mahomes' birthday. And again, it was Mahomes who played Jared Goff and lost 51-54, 105 points, and next season's the 105th season. What else is it about? Again, the reason this doesn't mean that this is going to be the Super Bowl, but this is part of the narrative, here's what you have to think about. Remember this pattern. Kobe Bryant died the Sunday before Mahomes won his first Super Bowl. Kobe Bean Bryant equals 54. Gianna Bryant equals 54. Kobe was 41. Gianna was 13. Added together 54. Dead the Sunday before Super Bowl 54. Kobe Bryant 41. Super Bowl 41. Mahomes won that game with his 41st pass, which was his 26th completion to number 26 to put it away when Kobe just died on the 26th. Last year, Mahomes won the Super Bowl with the final touchdown. First team to go back-to-back in 19 years with McCole Hardman's 19th career touchdown. It went to OT 19-19. Joe Montana 19 for the Chiefs at age 67, the 19th prime. Oh, shoot, I got tangential. What was I saying before the Super Bowl? Just talking about this Super Bowl. Anyway, Kobe. Yeah, I'm going back to Kobe. That's what it is. Kobe. So, Kobe was the last pro athlete to three-peat, to win 3 in a row. Remember how they just put up the statue of Kobe Bryant at the Lakers Stadium on February 8th? That was the same day Derek Thomas, number 58 for the Chiefs, died in history. 24 on the 24th anniversary of his death, they put up the Kobe statue, number 24. They make it 19 feet tall right before the Chiefs do the first team in 19 years ritual. Remember, the moon's on a 19-year cycle. But they put up that statue on the 54th day of the Pope's age. Kobe Bean Bryant, 54. Kobe Bryant, 41, dead at 41, traveling from Catholic Mass on the Pope's 41st day of his age. Okay, so Kobe has the 41-54 connection. The statue was the 54 ritual. Super Bowl 58 was the 54th of the modern era. Kobe Bryant equals 58, like Los Angeles Lakers. So Kobe has the 58-54 connection. Mahomes has now won 3 Super Bowls since Kobe died. He won 54, then he won 57 and 58. Again, you can see there's some kind of ritual going on here. Perfectly synced with Mahomes, using LA. I mean, the Los Angeles Angels, too, right? Kobe died in the city of Angels. Remember, on Kobe's last birthday, look it up if you don't know this to be true, because it's a fact. On Kobe's last birthday, the movie Angel Has Fallen came out. Angel Has Fallen released. Angel Has Fallen released on Kobe Bryant's last birthday. And then Kobe falls out of the sky as the story in a helicopter in the city of Angels, right? So, how these numbers come together. 105th season, Super Bowl 59. And with regards to O.J. Simpson, Simpson has the gematria of 105. Again, he died 59 days after the last Super Bowl. When you think about the Chiefs, you automatically think about the Buffalo Bills, O.J. Simpson's team. O.J. Simpson's team's the 49ers. He's beat him in Super Bowls 54 and 58, the Joe Montana Bulls, when Joe Montana equals 54. Montana. So, yeah, anyhow, just so many parallels. Are they trying to tell you that Patrick Mahomes is going to be the first NFL quarterback to ever three-peat? We've been talking about on Patreon for a while, this potential narrative, and if it were to happen, there's 3 teams we've had circled that all could really fit the narrative of why a three-peat would make sense. But of course, I'll be fair to you. LA is obviously one of those because Kobe, the last athlete to three-peat was LA Lakers with Kobe Bryant. So, yeah, I mean, just totally scripted outcomes. You got to love on 5-9 that they pulled Detmers, the starter, after he throws 59 strikes. After the 59th strike, pull him out of the game. He had 90 starting pitches, or he had 90 pitches. And notice the starter, Waka. I mean, this is why when you start looking at box scores, it just starts to get funny. You see how Waka had 103 pitches, 67 for strikes? We just had Kansas City Royals up here, right? Weird somehow it's 103 like State Farm, like Mahomes won the 103rd NFL season, does all the State Farm ads. I think the State Farm is us. We're the tax cattle. Insurance industry is part of it. But Kansas City Royals has that 59 and 103. So on 5-9, the Royals pitcher throws 103 pitches, right? But then he had 67 for strikes. Kansas City, 67. And again, people will say, how can you possibly have it be that structured and that perfect? Some nights you'll see that it's very close and you'll be like, damn, I'm almost surprised it wasn't that way. And maybe that's why it's not always perfect. But you will see a lot of times the rituals hit. And to answer that question, how it could be that good, I'm going to make a point. My dad raised me to be a baseball machine when I was a kid. And like when I wasn't playing with my friends, which was usually sports anyway, or doing homework or school, my dad had me with a hockey net, and he taught me to set up this hanging coffee can in different places of the hockey net and put it in different places of the hockey net. And he had it like a home plate and left-handed and right-handed batters. He was teaching me how to have accuracy. I used to just spend all day, all the time throwing baseballs at coffee cans and positions for accuracy. and I was so good as a kid. Like, I was a good baseball player, but I had a good arm. But there's just some kids who have just way better arms. They can throw 10 miles per hour faster than you, 15 miles per hour faster than you. They're the elite talent. But I was just a super accurate pitcher. So what I'm saying is, as a kid, just practicing in my spare time a lot. I mean, I'd spent a lot of time throwing balls at coffee cans, but got super accurate. So when I think of a professional athlete who doesn't have school to do and has the best coaches in the world, and this is his life, and he's paid all this money to do it, I'm thinking, you know what? He should be able to hit the coffee can all damn day too. I mean, he's getting paid millions of dollars, and he's a grown adult man, like I just said, with all the time in the world to do this. So that's why when I look at it, like when I look at pro athletes as someone, again, I'm only 5'10", right? So I mean, kind of the world of athletics. In baseball, you can be 5'10", it's fine. But in baseball, that's the sport you can be 5'10". But even baseball guys are getting bigger and bigger. The sport of baseball is getting bigger and bigger. It's like the Aaron Judge age. Now everyone needs to look like they're roided out on, born just like tossing steroids down their throat. But Aaron Judge has heads growing out of heads. Yeah, baseball's getting bigger, but historically it was the shorter man's game. But again, I'm just saying, I grew up as a good athlete, and when I watched pro sports for like all of my life, I'm like, it just doesn't make sense. These guys should be better. I mean, nobody should shoot this bad. Are you kidding me? You had a shot in college, but now you lost it in the pros, and now you can't even make a free throw? Like, in what world does this happen? Who's the University of Washington guard that went to the NBA the other year and then forgot how to shoot a basketball, couldn't make a free throw? I mean, like, what did they do to him? Did they give him a lobotomy? Like, how's that even possible? Or is it just all an act? He got drafted and they said, listen, man, you drew the short stick on the NBA script, but hey, you're still going to make millions of dollars. And then trust me, it's the United States of amnesia. They'll forget about it all anyway. But yeah, these high rituals, you guys, the numbers, you learn the numbers, you watch the news, the sports, you're like, shit is more scripted than I knew. And with regards to baseball being a game of 9 men on the field, for the defensive team, 9 innings in a standard game. If a pitcher threw 9 straight strikes, it would be the shortest inning possible. Well, actually, I guess 3 pitches and 3 pop outs or ground outs could be the shortest inning. You could end the inning on 3 pitches. But the fastest way to have a 3 strikeouts for a pitcher in an inning is 9 pitches. And, this game was played on May 9th, which is 9 months before the Super Bowl on February 9th. So, yeah, just remember this game and just pay attention this year because there'll be more clues. And this kind of stuff we look at picture, I'm like, okay, we saw. Remember, we'll be going back over. Remember May 9th? Now look at what they did. So, but yeah, 259 teams on 5-9 with a little history in cities and sports, some familiar numbers, and yeah, so. Gematria, top-notch knowledge. I don't know why, something is missing in here. I can see somebody gave a super chat, but shout out to Nick. I appreciate it. He said, thank you, Charmed One. But what is going on? Are we streaming right now? I don't have any of the normal controls that I do. What is going on? Huh. Weird. Normally, there's like a thing you can click on to see who gave super chats, but I do not have that anywhere. I can scroll up and see if we can. Do we got comments from the beginning? Ray says, "What's the Dave Portnoy news?" That was the first comment at the chat. Austin was in there and said, "Let's go." All right, that makes me think that was the beginning of the chat. Shout out to Austin. Austin, when I come out to Seattle, always pounds payment with us. Great contributor to the community. Thank you very much, Nick. I appreciate your generosity. That means you gave more than one super chat, huh? Nick, you're a young guy too, man. I appreciate all your generosity, but make sure you're saving up that rainy day fund. Rick James is the super chat, bro. It was Nick again. And then shout out to Rick James. It looks like it was thank you again, Nick. Okay, it was Nick and Rick James as always. I appreciate the continued generosity. Lil Wayne has song 3, Pete. He's from New Orleans. And isn't that interesting? Right. And isn't so again, that's one of the storylines we've been looking at because we all know well, maybe we don't all know, but if you follow enough about pop culture, if you have ESPN on or whatever show it is where they bring on Lil Wayne, he always tells you what his favorite football team is. I'll tell you what, that team's quarterback, they've been syncing up some rituals with Michael Jordan. They had a big old one in the playoffs last year. What were they up 33-0 in the big Michael ritual? I got to go back and check that out. But yeah, that is where the three-peat could happen. That is interesting. So good thinking, Space Invader. Yesterday, I appreciate your super chat. I didn't understand your comment yesterday, but I read your comment loud and clear today. Nick, come on, man. I appreciate all the generosity, but seriously, don't go overboard, man. Thank you though for being a great contributor to the community for a long time. Okay, so yeah, if you guys got here late, it did start more serious than sports, but you always got to keep it fun too. Life's got to be balanced. Again, just broken record, you guys, and I hope my advice over the last several months hasn't fallen on deaf ears. I'd like for it to be that we would never need the advice that I'm saying to ever be necessary, but again, it really isn't that costly to just make sure you got like a week's supply worth of water in terms of big jugs of water and make sure you got at least some kind of basic first aid. Imagine it's dark, you accidentally cut yourself. Just like some serious kind of band-aid in case you really had to tape something up. Just in case, batteries, flashlight, some rubbing alcohol could be real handy if you had a nasty cut. Could be the difference between infection and not. So, yeah, just basic necessities, non-perishable food. I was just thinking of like a food type that would be good that you could get in the grocery store if you don't live like next to some, like I live out in the middle of nowhere, so I don't have like some military supply store like I'd have in the city. But like jerky, it would be a good dried fruits, dried veggies, things that are actually dried, not with a whole bunch of sugar and salt added to them, but just like in their pure form because again, it's just lightweight. You could carry a bunch of it. Like if you had a bunch of, imagine you had a bunch of jerky, right? Not like you just want to eat jerky, you'd be all high in all kinds of crap you don't need. But in a fallout situation, you could have a whole bunch of nutrients essentially that hardly weigh anything in a backpack. You know what I mean? So you want to be light on your feet, and if you got to move and things that if you don't have to move anywhere, if you're just straight, canned food, most of that's non-perishable. Pretty much all that's non-perishable, and most of it you can just eat raw right out of the can. Just make sure it's stuff you can't eat raw without getting sick. Because yeah, it's just, I mean, they've been scaring us for a long time, but now the fear repetitions are building, and you can just see with all the narratives going on in the world why they might very well do it. They got to create the next big unnecessary war out of the next contrived storyline. And again, this moment right here, you guys. I mean, the thing is, if you were with me from the beginning, this is what I was writing about. Like the Georgia Guidestones. Wasn't long into the research where it really dawned on us, like, whoa, what happens when the Georgia Guidestones turn 44 in light of that number in Georgia? And saying, yeah, 2024, that could be a wild time. That's around the D Eagle website prediction for the fall off for whatever reason in the Earth's population. I mean, I hope none of it's that, but it is funny to think that we've been here talking about this stuff for 10 years, and it's like, now we are at this moment. I mean, I hope it all turns out to be nothing, but yeah, again, an ounce of preparation could be worth, I always say, just imagine the situation you don't have anything. It's not going to be a place you're going to want to be. You'll be rushing out to the store. It'll be a headache. There might be nothing at the store by the time you get there. Remember, they kind of showed us that in COVID, right? They started creating all these contrived shortages of everything. You go to the grocery store, it's like, wow, I can't believe it. They don't have any spaghetti. I've never seen spaghetti not at the store. And those back in stock, and it's like, whoa, the spaghetti costs 3 times more than it did before. You'd always get a bag of spaghetti, a little 12 ounce for 99 cents. Now it's $2.99 for the cheapest one. What happened? All right. Yeah, thank you again for the generosity. Lil E Channel TV 78. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. And shout out to ABCD, also getting super generous. Thank you. Okay, yeah, I was just reading the chat for a second. I think we'll leave it there for now, True Seeker. But yeah, hopefully it's just more fear mongering. But again, it could just be fear mongering building up to a larger event. You know, we got Israel's birthday just days away, May 14th. It's going to turn 76. We all know what happened in 1776. And again, Pluto has that 248-year cycle, which means it's in its full cycle since 1776, and all the stuff they're doing with the country turning 248 and the Illuminati and what's going on with Trump right now in the big 248 court case where Trump got a break in court on the Illuminati's 248th birthday. I mean, just all the examples we have of just recent. There's been so many huge news stories just like in the last month, from O.J. Simpson to, well, it's been a little bit more than a month since the bridge collapsed, but just this Trump trial. You would have thought just the information we put out, one of these things would have went viral. But yeah, if you guys missed it, Stormy Daniels is 45. She, the trial happens, or she takes the stand on her 45th. What was it? 45 days after her 45th birthday. Pornography equates to 45. Donald Trump, number 45. Her a porn star. A nation of jerk-offs, believing in Q, thinking Donald Trump's their messiah. I mean, sadly, these things aren't jokes, right? They're like statistics. It's like it is a nation of jerk-offs watching Q, worshiping their golden man, their orange man, their overgrown Oompa Loompa, all the things we know about this guy. But yeah, the joke is so un-American. It's like what I was ranting about yesterday about the animal that's raised by a very mean owner. Like, we're treated like we're cattle by the ruling class, who speaks in this Kabbalistic code each day and puts all these jokes in front of our face that nobody gets. But they're like a mean owner that likes to mock their animals because they know they can speak a language the animal doesn't understand. So they just sit there and talk shit to the animal all day that they rule over. Just mean, wicked people. But here, before I wrap it up, let me make sure there's not any other breaking stories we should touch on real quick. Hold on, we do have a breaking story. Sam Rubin, Los Angeles TV mainstay, dead at 64. You know what? For all your guys' generosity today, I'll stay on for a little bit longer. I got to cut it. I can't stay like more than 30 more minutes, though. That's really going to be pushing it. But I see billionaire hedge fund founder Jim Simon's dead as well. Young Sheldon's the top story after that. TV entertainment. Hold on. I'm going to switch the audio setting real quick, and let's just do if I don't have to hold the mic and can use two hands to type, better. So it won't sound better. But yeah, you guys should still hear me. Just it's a different mic and not a good one. It's not as good of one. Let me see. Let's look at this story. Sam Rubin. I'm sure if I lived in LA, I would recognize him, but I don't. Longtime entertainment anchor for KTLA in Los Angeles has died at the age of 64. Fellow anchor Frank Buckley announced on air Friday. If you're new here, 64 is a fateful number just in itself. The word kill has Gematria 64. It's part of the kill date that comes up once a month. We're not there yet. It's May 9th. Hold on. Did I say it was Cannonball Day yesterday? I might have done bad math. The kill date should be May 19th this month. Wait, no, I cannot. Hold on. It's May 15th. That's right. I said it was Mercurialia. It was Mercurialia. May 15th. May 15th is the kill date. What makes the kill date is the date numerology is 64, 4428. And we were talking about how it fit in with the story about Robert F. Kennedy having mercury poisoning. And they announced that on a Wednesday named after Mercury, one Wednesday before Mercuralia, this ancient Roman festival. And Mercury has to do with vaccines. And RFK's painted himself as someone who demands more answers about jabs. But the 17 matters because it's the Mercuralia date coming up next week, May 15th, which is the kill date for the month because it has the date numerology of 64, 44, 28, like kill. Again, 17 weeks after his birthday. Again, he's 70 years old, and it's going to be 17 weeks after his 70th birthday. Mercuralia's got that 70. And remember, he wrote the book Going Against the Jab, and coronavirus is 70, and COVID vaccine 70. And if you missed my video on that the other day, you might want to check it out. But yeah, just to start with 64 can be a fateful number. No, it's the spaces on the chessboard, of course. The Illuminati founded 64 days before 7/4/1776. They show this article down here from November 9th, 2014, or they have this picture of him right here. And then they chose a picture from November 9th, 2014. That date's got the interesting numerology. It's got the 34 like murder, like where we began with Avicii's girlfriend. It's got the 54 as well, big Jesuit number. But hold on. Sam Rubin, dead at 64, announced by fellow anchor Frank Buckley. We'll see if we can find these men's birthdays, if they're famous enough. It says right here, it is such a shock. KTLA morning anchor Eric Spillman said, he was one of my best friends. We worked together every day for 33 years. I mean, and he covers Hollywood, this guy. I mean, Hollywood's got that 33 connection. So covers Hollywood. Spillman described Rubin as a huge and remarkable talent who could talk about anything to anyone. He was born to be a broadcaster, Spillman added. His laugh, charm, and caring personality touched all who knew him. KTLA shared in a social media tribute. Sam was a loving husband and father, the roles he cherished the most. According to Rubin's bio on KTLA.com, he joined the KTLA Morning News Show in 1991. So yeah, it's 33 years later. Going on to win multiple Emmys. So I mean, just right away it stands out. But I see something in this KTLA. Look at KTLA, you guys. 44, 64, 28, just like Kill, the network he worked for. And now he's dead at 64 after 33 years with KTLA. Says he received the Golden Mike Award for Best Entertainment Reporter, a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Southern California Broadcasters Association, was named Best Entertainment Reporter by the Los Angeles Press Club. I wonder when that was. Is that easy to find? Hold on, I just see it easy to find. Sam Rubin, Golden Mike Award. You know, part of the thing that's frustrating to me about this is, I mean, have you guys ever seen me like do a live decode and it didn't start to make a lot of sense real fast? It's the same repetitive patterns. I've always said to all my critics, if you guys take this knowledge and apply it, I mean, you're not going to be arguing with me anymore. I mean, they're doing the same shit every day. You guys can't hear me anymore? Hold on. Can you guys still hear me? Someone in the chat says, Zach, where are you? You guys not hear me anymore? We're not having more issues, are we? Eric B says yes. I'm assuming that means you can hear me. Audio is good. Okay, we're good. All right, let's look more at, not that. Let's look more at this. And see, this is where people will say we're stretching things, but like to me, it does stand out that CNN posted 620. You follow these numbers, you start to realize there's highly specific patterns. It's a big sacrifice number, 62. It's just it starts feeling like an AI is posting these articles at the right time that has the Kabbalistic Gematria to describe what truly happened to Sam Rubin today. Sam Rubin, date of birth. Do we know that he died today? Well, it's saying he did. For the record, today can be written 10-5 like 105. Order of Illuminati does have that 105. He's born on the 47th day of the year, dead on the 131st. So what is that? 84 days later, is that right? She did 84 days later. Hold on. He's a news guy, born on the 47th day of the year. Yeah, and dead 84 days later. 84 if you're new here. Jesuit equals 84. The Jesuit Order, 84. The Catholic Church, 84. United States of America, 84. The Orwell 84 thing starts to make a lot more sense when you realize he's a Fabian. And the Fabian Society was established in 1884, and it was modeled after the Jesuits, like so many things are, because the Jesuits are a successful, dominant order that have been known about for centuries. Let's look at this Frank Buckley guy. Frank Buckley. He does the KTLA 5 morning news every Monday through Friday, 7 to 11. Let's see if we can find a date of birth for him. Frank Buckley, born in Toronto, likes to believe he was conceived around the same time as father. Is this the right guy? 1921? No way. He'd be 103 years old. Can't be the right guy. Frank Buckley, still here. I'm still here. I outlived him. He's gone at 64. Is it this guy right here? Is this the Frank Buckley? Yeah, this is him. Man. Well, I don't know. His information might be out there or it might not be. Frank Buckley's got the right numbers for Hollywood too. Hollywood 129.48, just like Frank Buckley. Remember, 129 is 201 in base 8 counting. Illuminati's 48 and 69. Order of Illuminati's 201. These people on the TV. You guys, I wish I remember what episode it was years ago on TFR. Some of you guys might remember this. Have been listening to TFR a long time ago. There was a woman who called in one night. She only called in ever one time. You know, sometimes you just get callers. You only heard them one time. But she called in. She's like, Zach, I listened to you, and I don't want to tell you who I am, but I'll just tell you this much. I got a husband, and he plays in the NFL, and he told me he just joined the Illuminati tonight. Should I be concerned, Zach? I was like, is he just joking? Like back then, see, I start to wonder how big the Illuminati network is now, and like if there's just levels to it, like a pyramid, and you get on some entry level, and there's some little perk, but you better not say nothing, or you're going to be the next obituary in the headline. Sometimes I wonder if there's like low levels of Illuminati that just like a sporty athlete can. It must be something like that. But at the time, I didn't like really take the call that seriously. But as time's gone on, I just feel like, yeah, maybe they do let a lot of people into this Illuminati thing. All they got to do is just shut the fuck up. It's like Fight Club. Because, yeah, I mean, just like, why is it always the same numbers around all these people? And I mean, you know, this guy goes home and watches YouTube videos and laughs about conspiracy theorists trying to figure out what it is about 33. I mean, we know a lot about what it is in 33. Okay, we talked about it earlier with the human being and Kundalini. And again, all these words with 33 one more time. People, person, society, order, secrecy, masonry, federal. You know what I mean? Bible. Isn't that what they all do at the Fed? You got to always be swearing on that Bible, that other 33. I remember when I first found this knowledge, sweet lady thought the dumbest thing. She was understanding a lot, but the first time I had this epiphany, she was like, "No, that one's got to be a coincidence." But like, I was over a month into the research, and I had not realized the whole time that just the word "the" equaled 33. Because I didn't even think to look at "the," because I was like, I mean, what are you going to say about "the"? But then all of a sudden, I was like, wait a minute, "the." The equals 33. The like most commonly written word in the language is 33. And again, England equals 33, and London's divided into 33 neighborhood areas. And back when I first started this, it was like an epidemic of 33-year-old bankers jumping to their death. Hold on, let's just read all these tributes to this guy because he's in the entertainment world. Perry Sook, Nexstar founder, chairman, and CEO, called Rubin an icon in Los Angeles and in the entertainment industry in a statement shared with CNN on Friday. My prayers are with his family and the KTLA family as we mourn his passing. He will be missed. I don't know what Nexstar is. Am I the only one who doesn't know what Nexstar is? What's that? It's a media company. Okay, media business, and maybe I don't know. Maybe they're connected to that news network. There's probably a reason they put this guy up here first, though. Perry Sook, 43 years in television. He's another guy that you don't have. Well, I don't know if that's the same guy. I don't think that's the same guy. Looks a little different. Veteran actor Henry Winkler said via phone on air on KTLA on Friday that Rubin made every human being feel so special and got them to open up like a flower. Winkler also posted to X, writing, "This is a terrible loss for Sam's family, his coworkers, friends, and his fans. It was always a pleasure to be on set with Sam. He will be sorely missed." It was a very emotional, sad day, not only for the KTLA family, but for the entertainment industry as a whole, said actor Jerry O'Connell on KTLA. The man was a legend. I guess if you lived in LA, you would have known this guy. Because, yeah, I mean, normally you don't, like, normally, this is, like, seriously, this feels like the most tributes I ever saw in a CNN death story. I mean, usually there might be, like, the family said this associate said that, he's super famous. It might have, like, three. God, they got everybody in here for this guy. Modern Family star Eric Stonestreet wrote of Rubin on X, "I always enjoyed my time with Sam. Rest in peace, sir. I am so sorry to hear about my friend Sam Rubin going to heaven. I have known him for decades," Richard Simmons posted Friday on X. Richard Simmons. "He was always interested in my projects and always laughed at my silly jokes. Sam, you will be missed." On Instagram, Academy Award-winning actor Viola Davis wrote that Rubin's professionalism was unmatched by his kindness and humanity. "I will miss your presence on the red carpet." Ben Stiller wrote called Rubin. Is that I mean, there's a lot of typos in mainstream articles. If you guys read my blog, there's a lot of typos because I'm just like trying to keep up with everything. I'm not really that dumb. Sometimes I go back and read things I read. I'm like, oh my god, my mind was way ahead of my fingers, or I don't know how I wrote that sentence. But yeah, there's just so many errors in modern day reporting. Ben Stiller called Rubin a consummate pro in his tribute on X, adding, "I did my first interview with him in something like 93 and countless times over the years." See, just things like that. I'm like, maybe they really did cross paths in 93, or are these guys just all speaking in code? I mean, we always talk about 93 and death. It represents Saturn. Saturn's connected to death and judgment. They got to get the quote out there in the media for Ben Stiller. He's got to drop the 93 in there. He loved actors and movies. He made everyone feel comfortable, and it was always fun and easy. He was an institution. Oscar winner Octavia Spencer also wrote a tribute to Rubin on social media, writing, "So sad to learn that we've lost Sam Rubin. It was always a pleasure to see him and to be his presence. My condolences to his family and fans." So he does have a Wikipedia page. Again, KTLA 64. Received a Bachelor of Arts in American Studies and Rhetoric after graduating Occidental College in 82. Private liberal arts school in LA. Established April 20th, 1887, 137 years ago. It's interesting. 137 is the 33rd prime in light of the 33 in his passing. There for 33 years. His college 137, also an LA institution. Says controversy during a live on-air interview with actor Samuel L. Jackson on February 10th. Isn't that funny? That's the anniversary of Black History Month being recognized by the federal government in 76. This would have been the 38th anniversary. But slavery equals 102, like that date can be written 10/2, like April 12th, typically the 102nd day of the year, the start of the American Civil War. It says Rubin mistakenly asked Jackson about the success of the Super Bowl trailer advertised at the Super Bowl, which featured African-American actor and former Jackson co-star Lawrence Fishburne, who had reprised his role as Morpheus from the Matrix franchise for a car commercial. Jackson was offended by this mistaken reference and proceeded to roast Rubin. So isn't it funny? Because that's like the stereotype, right? That back in the day, white people would say all black people look alike. Um, it's sweet lady's Asian, and she'll joke that she does think all Asian people look alike. But anyway, you got to have a sense of humor about things. People are so uptight. February 10th, 10/2. Again, slavery equals 102. A lot of rituals of Black history in 102 as well. The N word equals 102. We documented some this past Black History Month with what they did to the singer of Hootie and the Blowfish on the first day of Black History Month, and Carl Weathers and some other things that I forget now, but just the same stuff happens every year. I bet that was actually how the script was, just to create a little race thing and be like, oh, males, white people, they all think we look the same. So, I mean, and literally Samuel L. Jackson and Lawrence Fishburne literally look nothing alike. They both had great movie careers, though. Here, let's see if we can find this recipients. Keith, who's all on that list? I see Keith Oberman's on that list. It doesn't show. Wow, look at that, you guys. The Golden Mike Award is 74 years old right now. Again, just age-old pairing of 74 and 33. Again, 74 and 33 come together a lot. He's dead after 33 years of being on that network. And one of the big stories was he won the Golden Mike Award, this prestigious thing. The reason 74 and 33 come together a lot. I think it's very much biblical, but it could be something more than that. Again, Jesus, cross, Messiah, gospel, parables, they all equal 74. Jesus on the cross at 33. Out of the 50 states, only one equals 74 in the most simple cipher. It's the 33rd state, Oregon. And a million other things. The other night when the Nuggets started getting upset by Minnesota in the 74th game for Jokic and his coach, they picked up their 33rd. In their 74th playoff games, they picked up their 33rd playoff loss. They'll put these numbers together, 74 and 33 together all the time. Masonic equals 74, Masonry 33. Again, modern Freemasonry, a Jesuit creation, which is the Society of Jesus, going back to the Jesus thing. So we saw his university is 137 too, the 33rd prime. Here, out of curiosity, with this Golden Mike Award. Golden Mike Award's got some fateful numbers in it. Be careful, Golden Mike Award winners. The old 83, murdered by numbers from 1983. There's some other things that are interesting there too, but I'm just going to let it be. Yeah, I mean, the 33 years screams out. 84 days after his birthday. Hello, Jesuits. Oh, by the way, I see something. I see something actually major that I was missing. You know how he's dead 84 days after his birthday, and he's dead on the date that's 10/5? Look at Masonry. Yeah, this really puts it together right here. Yeah, I have. So this is actually, if you wanted to, if you're in the LA area and you want to show this, I'll just even make a short video about this. It'll just be like a minute video. But I see how all four of the Masonry numbers fit into his death today. 10/5, 33 years on the network, 84 days after his birthday, and today's lesser date numerology. It's May 10th, 24. 5 plus 10 plus 24 is 39. So that's not an accident. That's not an accident right there. Thank you, Rick James. Appreciate that, Rick James. Here, I'll check one more thing. I got a little bit more time. I want to check one more thing before I go. Wikipedia, if you type in deaths in 2024, they keep track of deaths in the news. I mean, you're not going to see everybody's death here, but just ones that made headlines. And God, I see another one there. Corey Williams, basketball player, gone at 46. Genesis 46 sacrifice. Today's got the 59 date numerology. Yesterday was 5-9. Today's got the 59 date numerology and the lesser date numerology of 39. The Jim Simons guy, the hedge fund manager, is dead at 86. I mean, people aren't going to question an 86-year-old's death, but I'll look more into that one later. I just wanted to check real quick yesterday. Sean Burrows. I remember this guy's name. Baseball player. Played for the Padres, the Devil Rays, Arizona Diamondbacks. The Padres are fathers, right? It's like Catholic. Pope Francis is 59. This guy drops dead on 5-9. Jesus Christ is 43, like RIP. Society of Jesus is also 191, the 43rd prime. Traffic collision for the Nigerian footballer. I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that he was a black man on 5-9, just dead in the traffic accident. Doesn't look like it's big in our news over here. A football player dead at 29 in Australia. Football equals 29. What did he die from? He's got a pretty big Wikipedia, so he must be a notable athlete over there. It says, after collapsing during a training session, McCarthy was diagnosed with epilepsy. On May 9th, 2024, McCarthy was found dead at a property in Lake Coogee, if I'm saying that right, in Perth. Yeah, but football equals 29, just like Ohio. Ohio's the birthplace of football. American football is credited to Walter Camp at Yale. A swimming coach for Michigan died at 87. Remember, Michigan equals 46 like Catholic. Seen a lot of 87. Remember Tom Brady, which equals 46, the 199th pick in the draft, the 46 prime. He went over there once upon a time and kissed the hand of Pope John Paul II. Yeah, we might have to look into that one. He's got the same birthday as Kobe, huh? I got to take a peek real quick. August 23rd to May 9th. "260 days after his birthday." That's how many chapters are in the New Testament. I have to look more into that one, though. Let's hope it was just a coincidence and he just died of old age. Wait a minute, though. There's an Indonesian singer also gone at 64 today. This Sean Burrows one, I just want to look more into. I remember this guy's name. Born September 12th. That's the day leaving 110 days left in the year. And then gone on the 130th day of the year. 240 days later. You know, the one thing about dying on May 9th in a leap year, the 130th day of the year, the phrase human sacrifice is 130 as well. But yeah, he played for the Padres, which have the father connection. Dies on 5-9 when Pope Francis is 59. Here, you know what? Before I go, I'll show you guys one more thing. You remember how, here, let's go back down memory lane real quick. Let's go back down memory lane. Just about sports and politics being scripted. I want to go back to spring training, the first spring training game of the year. I want to go back to February 22nd. And I want to take you back through all of this, and I want to show you why it matters about what they're doing today in the MLB. So, first spring training game of the year. The Dodgers whooped the Padres 14-1, right? 14-1. And just so you can see, it's the Dodgers' 141st season. So what a fitting score. God, there's another part of that 141 that I'm letting slip through the cracks that matters about this. But anyway, it's their 141st season. They win the first game of the year 14-1. Now, the man who's running for Senate in California, who's trying to take Dianne Feinstein's seat, is Steve Garvey, who played his major league career with the Dodgers and the Padres. And Steve Garvey, again, expected to win Senate this year. But started with the Dodgers in 69. Last year with the Dodgers was 82, joined the Padres in 83, finished his career at the Padres in 87. Interesting number, 87. But Steve Garvey, his birthday is December 22nd. So notice, from December 22nd to that spring training game, February 22nd, 2024, it was his 63rd day of his age, okay? Major League Baseball in Gematria is 63, okay? So that was the very first game of the entire season for spring training. No other teams played before this. They were the only team that played that day. Nice little MLB connection with Steve Garvey, who's running for office. So remember, this baseball season, opening day was the Dodgers and the Padres in Korea a week before everybody else played. And first game, if I'm not mistaken, was March 20th. Yeah, that's right. March 20th, like Roman Catholic Church 320. The Dodgers won this game on March 20th. And I just want you to see that game, it was 89 days after Steve Garvey's birthday. And that matters because Los Angeles, California equals 89, and so does Los Angeles Dodgers, and of course they won that game. Los Angeles, California, 89. Los Angeles Dodgers, 89. Earlier we were talking about the ritual they did with the Angels last night in 89 and the Kansas City baseball team and how that went back to Mahomes, whose father was a baseball player. If you got here late, these are things we talked about earlier. 89's big number in LA. 89's the 24th prime. Here we are in 2024. You know what happened to Kobe? He finished his career with number 24. But that game, the Dodgers won 5-2, right? And it's the Battle of California. California's 52. We all know what they just did to UCLA. Big example, synced up with Gavin Newsom on 5-2. Gavin Newsom's also 52, like that other longtime California Catholic Jesuit staple, Nancy Pelosi. You know, they all just happen to equal 52, like government, like California. So, again, a game synced with Steve Garvey, who's running for public office, the Senate, one of the highest offices in the land, you know, to represent a massive state. But they're structuring these rituals with him, right? So the reason I'm just showing you these things is because now the Dodgers and Padres have another series, right? And it's beginning, what am I doing? I'm clicking on the wrong day. Where are we? It is May 10th. There we go. That's what I want to click on. So you have this series beginning now with the Padres and the Dodgers. It's funny, it starts at 6:40, like chess spaces. But do you see how the Padres come into this game 20-20? 20-20, right? Steve Garvey's birthday is December 22nd to today is exactly 20 weeks later, right? Exactly 20 weeks. That means the next game in the series. You could also say today is the 141st day of his age, like it's the Dodgers' 141st season. They beat him 14-1. They're going to play again tomorrow, 141 days. Again, there's more to this, but join us on Patreon. These are the things we look at each day, and sometimes the clues are very obvious that lead to the correct outcomes. And sometimes also in a baseball game, you're like, well, if this happens today, that would make a ton of sense tomorrow. So sometimes it's good to watch your observation for the day, because if it hits, it's like, okay, well, I think we're on the right track here. This looks good tomorrow. And then boom, next thing you know, you're on a winner. But Dodgers and Padres, perfectly synced with Steve Garvey from spring training to the week early MLB debut to now this game with the same pattern. Again, you guys, there's a reason that it's like high ritual when they release the schedule. And probably they'll say, like, how could they possibly do this? Again, at this day and age, you have AIs to help you out with these things that can do all these human computations in light speed. There's so many ways they can be creating the script. But years ago, we did a live stream and like somebody called in and said, hey, Zach, check this out. And then we put it up in the stream and it was like Justin Bieber's planner. And it was like an MTV special, like a little 4-minute segment of how Justin Bieber has this planner that like literally plans what he's going to post on social media next month on this date, and then where he's going to be. Just all this stuff planned out for him for the whole year ahead. Like literally planning what his social media post is going to be in a month. You know, I mean, most of us aren't like that. We're posting on social media with what's on our mind at the time, what we want to get our message out about. You might be like, okay, in a month from now, I definitely got to do that on social media. I mean, you might be doing that, but you don't have like somebody like planning every last thing out. We're living out a planned out agenda. That's the point I'm always making. That's why year after year we've shown how the sports and the politics are scripted. And when we get things wrong and haters come around, it's like I don't even care. It's like, do you know how many times we've gotten it right? Do you know how many times we've had a very specific prediction, like way more specific and exact and dead on the money than you've ever seen anybody ever predict before in sports or other things? I mean, we've done it so many times. That's why I don't like getting things wrong, but I also don't care. I'm like, we've already proven our point in spades. I mean, the whole world should have learned about this by now. Everyone should be on the Patreon, joining the sports community, supporting the work, helping make it way bigger. But it is what it is. You know, we're on the animal farm, and most people just can't speak the language. Not enough tools in the tool shed. But that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to give people more tools in their tool shed, but they got to have enough processing power to grasp it. So, yeah, sports, politics, news, nonstop scripts. You know, endless examples. And again, thank you to everyone for being generous today, especially Nick. Nick, don't do that though, man. Nick's a young guy. I know he's done well with the sports knowledge in the community. He likes to be generous and give back, but Nick, you've been so generous. Look at you, Nick. You're a young guy, and you're way more generous than most of the grown men in the community. So it's because most of the grown men have come across a day where they knew they needed their rainy day fund. So make sure you got your rainy day fund. I do wish more people supported the work, but at the same time, I don't want like really young people like donating $40, $50 in the live stream. It just doesn't feel right to me. But I do appreciate it, Nick. And again, he's been in the sports community doing well for a while. So still, I'd like him to save his money. Thank you again to everyone who does support the work. Thank you to everyone who hits the like and the share. And I do have to run a few errands here, so getting close to the deadline. Oh, by the way, shout out to Gematria32. He pounded pavement with us all over in New York City, and he's always got great comments in the chat. And just another reminder of just a big 42 ritual in history. So. All right, yeah, if you got here late, you probably want to rewind the good stuff. It's always at the beginning. Until next time, True Seeker.